Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Rage Across New York. Today, new den mother, new arrival at the Sept, has, after meeting with the number of individuals, cubs, den father, and Wormfoe amongst others, is going with the Wormfoe and the cubs to meet with two others. Two of the other cubs. Wherever they are, currently running about, quite possibly in the North Woods, in the Umbra. Please make it the Umbra because I haven't found a picture in homage for this character yet.
We can totally do the Umbra. Oh, well, in that case, is there any given, understanding of where they would be or note left in the cabin or anything like that?
The previous scene, we were in front of the cub cabin, so I don't think it would be too much of an ask for the others to gather there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep, that works.
It does work.
Well, very well then. I will use the excuse that Maeve has gotten herself something of an entry-level job over at the zoo, and soon after hearing the howl and getting excited, realized, oh shit, I'm going to be late for work. So she went in for a shortish shift, then part-time hours, and has run frantically back to, well, at least in the direction of the cabins, in the Umbra, in Lupus, hauling ass. And as such, it is possible she could either see them on the way or get home in time to find a note and take the hell off again.
Yep. So when, she heads off to the North Woods where the others have gone to. And she'll see, start with Talia, Lucas, Olaf, and a new arrival, a white wolf of average height but relatively slim build, with a thick, rough mane, and looks like a number of scratches and old scratches and scars over her body. Faint, but still noticeable.
Well, she will probably come in at full tilt, at least until she gets fairly near to the group. Likely assessing whatever sort of situation they're in, where they're gathered for conversing or going about training or what have you, and will make a point of approaching in such a way as that she's visible to the den father and the new lady, meaning to get within perhaps 10 feet of them before flopping summarily onto her back to bare belly and neck.
Albert arrives and does likewise. He's not sure. He can't remember. Well, it's a safe assumption that this other wolf is of higher rank. So he flops as well.
This new wolf will turn to the two.
Well,
introduce yourselves.
Oh. Good evening, Raya. I am Maeve MacFionn, the Urge Cub, Fiona Stock. Born on 2 legs.
Any relation of the R-Try?
Yes, Raya.
And you? Turning to Albert.
I'm Albert Fay, Ragabash Cub, Born on 2 legs.
I am Mist Whisper. Lupus Theurge of House Unbreakable Hearth, Adrian under the grace of Falcon. I informed your packmates here and your grandfather that Mother Larissa has called myself and another here to assist in the training of the cubs, there being such an unusually large number here.
There is, by the by, some tail tip twitching and wiggling over the revelation that this new den mother is a Theurge.
And a number of... This is the third Ragabash den father.
Olaf, his body language says it all. Really, in the revelation of a third Ragabash. Oh yeah, he knows. He knows.
And cubs, what do you feel you have been taught so far?
And Maeve, by the by, is still just hanging out on her back. She looks perfectly comfortable and happy there, mind you, but just chilling. It could take some time to go over it all. Just the broad subjects.
Please.
More recently, there has been focus on... Well, there's always been focus on physical training. More recently, more hunting, larger game, tactics in a group. In the past, the basics, the auspices, the breeds, some information on the tribes, the Umbra, the spirits. Kind of pauses to think. The story of the Triad. Information on my particular tribe from my tribal elder. Pauses.
You've been told of the tribes. This is
Some.
good. She then turns to Albert. Ragabash, what have you been told of my tribe?
Albert thinks for a moment before saying that they are traditionally great leaders of the nation. Right.
We are the leaders of the nation. It's not simply tradition. It's ordained by Gaia herself.
A little ear twitch.
So, with all respect due to the Den Father, is there areas where you feel that more education may be needed? He is both. He is a Homid, a child of Fenris, and a half moon. Whilst all those things are worthy of respect to varying degrees, it is not the whole picture of the nation.
From what I have found, learning about the tribes, much of it is the given speaker's personal opinion. Perhaps more in-depth knowledge on what is commonly known of each tribe.
Very well.
She
And
ponders.
you, young Ragabash?
Albert once again pauses a moment, trying not to piss off yet another lupus, by accident or on purpose. He says, the ways of when and out of character, I can't remember Katori's deed name, but he just says when
Rides the
Commands the
waves.
Undying.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Commands the Undying? Yes. Sorry.
When Commands the Undying Raya was then father before he became keeper of the land, he had begun teaching that he had begun teaching that was out of character, not in character.
Of course.
Kill me, please. He began teaching about specifics of this form from his point of view, being born on four legs, which is quite different from the point of view of someone like myself and most of us here, save for you. He taught me about the lupus form and the ways of the wolf, but unfortunately he is occupied with his duties as keeper, and could not continue as frequently.
Maeve's nodding along, by the way.
Yes, I have heard that you're all subject to a harsh lesson, in that everything you have understood so far is only half of what you are now.
Mentioning the harsh lesson, Natalia will look at Albert.
I have perhaps done, well, decently in regards to picking up wolf ways, but there have not exactly been classes on the proper expressions and body language, and these would be good things to know. I feared many of us not getting in touch with the wolf heart, but I don't think that's going to be a problem soon.
I feel if you need formal classes in the set, or if you think formal classes are the best way to get in touch with the other half of your nature, then perhaps I might suggest that you have not learnt the lessons as well as you think you have, or rather, you think that is the problem.
She gives an upside-down head bobble in agreement.
For this is what few homids grasp about the wolf side of their nature that Gaia gave us both. If one looks at wolves, they are cunning, they survive, they hunt, they trust, they do not think. Whereas all homids do is think and rut. And they are really the only animals to think like they do. The ability to think is a gift, but to understand what it is to be a lupus, one must learn to stop.
To stop thinking.
Yes.
Maeve will just kind of flick her tail. Like, it's been kind of laying out behind her on the dirt. She'll flick it down and onto her belly.
Would you agree, then, Father?
There's a point, Raya. I cannot say that the lupus don't have thoughts, but their ways are pure, clean. They're not the maze that the Homid mind is.
Indeed. It is not thoughts as many Homids understand. So, sadly, you will get a harsh lesson in not thinking. Very soon. Unfortunately, you may not all survive. Embracing this brutal truth will help you further understand what it is to be a lupus.
Yes, Ryan.
To be hunted and shot. And see others wearing your fellow's skin. I understand many Homids find it discomforting. Lupus find it enraging.
And in spite of the fact that he is in fact Homid-born, when Miss Whisper mentions being hunted and shot, it is very easy to see how angry Olaf suddenly is.
There is time for your rage, then, Father. That time is not now.
Yes, Raya.
And tell me, I know of the others. Young Ragabash. Have you put a thought into the totem you will follow come your adulthood?
Albert thinks for a moment. He says, I had, right?
You had. Not anymore.
Hang on. Okay. Albert, keeping, his, his belly up and whatnot, he simply says, the tribe that, the totem that I had thought of petitioning when I become an adult, I am afraid I've foolishly angered the one of the eldest of that tribe in the south, which my Aaron Raya advised that I might seek something else.
And which tribe was that? Who did you so anger?
I angered the warder, Raya.
For a cub to anger the warder, You must have been taking your auspice duties very seriously, I'm sure. He is a touchy individual. He has much rage and much reason for it.
Unfortunately, I took it too far. Way too far.
What did you do?
I insulted him 3 times. He taught me the error of my ways, and thus we are taking a trip to Wolfhelm.
Clearly he did not think that was enough to learn the error of your ways if he is condemning your entire pack to what he knows is a very likely grave. Like I say, he is full of rage. To anger him such must have been severe. I have encountered a number of Ragabash cubs whose careers are cut short when they are overzealous in their auspice duties at a young age. I would think that you got off easily, but I can't imagine can't imagine that's the case if you're going to Wolfhelm. But do you understand why the others are going to Wolfhelm?
Albert has actually not been moving this entire time, except for to speak.
That's absolutely fine.
And he pauses a moment.
Talia and Lucas will be up, because we'll have moved. Miss
Yeah.
Move will have done anything. Mr. Move will have done anything. Like,
Albert just says, I am sorry, Raya. I can't say that I do.
what do you feel it to be?
I feel it to be sending a pack instead of a single wolf.
Yes. But it is not only a lesson, it's a punishment. It is both. What do you think the lesson is? What do you feel the lesson is? Sorry, not think.
To learn to become a proper wolf. Another character, I think that's what he told Albert. I'm kind of mixing his scene and
Yes. Sorry, that is why. Oh no, see, that's why Albert is being punished. The lesson is, why are the others being punished as well? That's the question.
Okay. And he says, because he thinks a moment more. When one part of a group of us suffers, the entire group suffers. When one of us is foolish, it endangers all of us.
Quite. The nation, as the pack, is as weak as its weakest link. That is why we run as a pack, because no one wants to be as weak as an empty space next to them. And to suffer with your pack is to grow with them. I'm sure the Den Father here will be able to tell you of the trust he has in his pack, no doubt.
Indeed. And as his face turns to look at Albert, you can see the 3 silver scars on his muzzle. They're not as pronounced as they would be in Hamid because of the fur. But if you know what to look for, or you're as close to him as Miss Whisper is, you can see them.
And admittedly, in the midst of a conversation, Maeve's ears at some point have fallen back flat. For the most part, they've been kind of flagged out to listen, but at this point, they've fallen tightly back.
If there's such clear display coming from Maeve, Miss Whisper will turn to her and look at her.
She will probably try to get away with just looking away and not commenting. She is trying to keep her mouth closed on the subject, but it's pretty blatant, especially in Lupus, that she feels strongly.
If, as Maeve is reacting like this, maybe one day you run as a pack, maybe one day you don't, but he will be your stepbrother one day.
She'll loosen up the fold a tiny bit because that is, in fact, something that she can't do anything about.
You are of Fianna stock. Yes? As you said.
Yes, Raya.
Now, you say you wish to learn more of the tribes. What do you know of Wendigo and Octena?
If Wendigo and Octena, she'll, even in Lupus, she'll do that bit of a rollback of the eyes one does when recalling something. But the distraction has her ears back out where they should be. My mentor is Octena. I know that they are the pure tribes. I know that they are the people that were native to these lands. I know that the Octena keep secrets close and possess great knowledge. The only Wendigo that I know of is Kachina Raya, and I have not learned as much. I have learned that they are the, she pauses, little brother to the Octena, but
They call themselves, they refer to themselves, yes.
yes,
They are little,
and,
they are younger brother.
yes.
Octena is older brother.
I believe that younger brother is supposed to be more furious, though it confuses me because Kachina does not seem to be. But
The Wendigo are bitter and fury and hate, walking on their legs. Their totem is a cruel and vicious master. His fury is only Fenris can match his prowess, but not even Fenris or Grandfather Thunder can quite match his unforgiving cruelty. They are angry at your kind, at your tribe, and at the Denfather's tribe, and of Children of Thunder, and many of them indeed at my tribe, in a way that is a struggle for many to comprehend.
I have been learning, and I have only recently come to realize how forgiving Katori Raya is, having seen him with another of his stock, of his bloodline.
When we came, they call you Wormbringer. My kind they call Wormcomer.
What is the difference?
According to their legend, or so this is what they claim, that there was no worm in this land before the coming of the people from across the sea. And it was the Shadow Lords, the Fianna and the Get of Fenris, who brought it to these lands. We know they definitely caused the unleashing of the Eater of Souls, which destroyed Middle Brother, who was here. So, to them, you brought the worm. We merely came with the worm. But as you can see from Denfather's reaction, between the Wendigo and the Fianna and the Get of Fenris, there is a great divide. I believe the Get of Fenris like to claim the Wendigo were too weak. The Fianna admit they were too wild. The Wendigo will point out that this very sept was once one of theirs, taken from them by Fianna kin. The reason I give you this lesson is your reaction to your littermate here. The greatest warriors of the nation, after my own tribe, are the Wendigo and the Children of Fenris. Yet on so few occasions do they fight alongside each other. They fight against each other. And so many of the worm's great victories have come due to this division. If they stood together, there was not the rancor, then perhaps we'd all be in a much better position.
When I first came here, my best friend was a Wendigo Arun. As I stand before you, I am Beta in a pack under Uktena. You'll get over it.
Rias, I am not holding against him the sins of his ancestors, or the sins of his people, or the sins of his blood. I am angry because he has placed my family in danger.
And you can have two choices. You can be as Wendigo, and you can fight, you can nurse your brave grudge, and you can lead it to isolation in a barren land, and you will be beset by your grudge on one side and enemies on the other, and where a friend should be, there will be simply your own bitterness. This is not to say that there is not a certain degree of justification for bitterness, anger. But it is important to learn to be able to put these things aside. Do you understand?
Yes, Raya.
And you, Albert, Ragabash. Have you made reparations to your packmates for bringing this horror upon them? For it is a horror that they will endure.
Albert pauses a moment. Well, he's been quiet, so he stays quiet for a few seconds longer. I do not know the right way, aside from not failing in the future. I know no other way.
Then might I suggest you find one quickly? For when the Get Fenris came, the Fianna came, they slaughtered so many of the kin of the pure tribes. Mistakes were made. We should have stepped in before and put an end to it. But we were preoccupied. If the Fenrir and the Fianna had been willing to admit their faults and mistakes sooner than they did, then perhaps there would be many more cairns in these lands that had not fallen to the worm.
Raya, if I may speak.
You may do so.
If Albert wishes to try and mend some of his relations with his fellow cubs, I think that his efforts he should not hide from the other cubs, he should not hide from his shame. He has made a mistake. What would go a long way to repairing some things would be to prove that to make all efforts to make sure he is useful, that he can do all the things he needs to do when we are sent to that place, and that he is a strength to his brothers and sisters when he is there, and that he works with his other brothers and sisters in there, and that he is not the reason that anyone should have to fall there.
Miss Whisper's ears will kind of twitch happily and her tail will be in the air, but she will turn to Olaf and be like, "Yep."
Daddy loves you. That's all you're getting right now.
Maeve,
Daddy loves all of you, but right now he has kind of like a favorite or two around there.
She's not doing it to impress him, but yeah, sure.
That's okay.
that's
Doesn't
he
matter.
loves you even more.
Somebody has the
Maeve,
soldier nature without even wanting it.
Maeve will roll her head towards Albert and comment offhandedly, perhaps a good first step is not setting our hackles up for giggles.
Is there a half moon amongst the cubs?
There is not, Raya.
That is unfortunate. For without
Yeah.
one, problems get worse. As I'm sure you as a half moon well know.
Olaf appears to agree.
So, in the absence of a half moon, I give this lesson to all of you. That all of you must together, not separately, together, find a way to accept what was happened and move on. For reparations to be made, and not forgiveness, but acceptance. The past is in the past. Dwelling on it is another Hommit problem. There is a now.
Maeve will
Indeed,
laugh
right.
up some.
Sorry.
Sorry, that was me too. No,
Yeah.
Maeve will just relax some and glance over to Talia.
Talia will just, yeah, seem accepting and just be like, well, yes, Raya, we can only move forward.
That's good. Do you understand? Too much of the nation is willing to sit on past grudges. I'll say this for the warder. He is... He holds few grudges. He's very much lives in the now. But he has more bitterness, greater memory than most Lucises. Probably the influence of Cockroach. Enough wrongs have been done to him that he can be forgiven for fury at times. Not to mention his great deeds. But I will say this, if you are concerned that Cockroach will not accept you, young Ragabash. Cockroach and the Glasswalkers, they are not a forgiving tribe. They live in the environment that is harshest to our kind. They value one thing above all else, and that is competence, intelligence. if, as your littermate suggests, you demonstrate that you are an asset, Cockroach will accept. They make many compromises in the name of moving forward. Do you understand what you have to do? Hello?
Sorry, what? We froze there.
Sorry. Just pointing out that Cockroach and the Glasswalkers value competence more than clinging on to the past. They're quite ruthless in this regard. I'm just saying, do you understand what you have to do?
Oh, okay. Yes, Ryan.
Good. But are you all learning your rights?
Emphatic nodding. Yes, try.
Noddle.
Look at the other two.
I have learnt some, but I do feel this is certainly an area that perhaps I have not so far had as much opportunity to explore.
Do you all know of the right of contrition?
I do not.
Lucas says, I do.
I am studying it, Raya.
Ragabash 101. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Very good. But perhaps, on the subject of today's lesson, that is what you should learn. You will all make mistakes. You will all do wrong. You should all know the way to begin making amends, particularly if done to a spirit. One would not wish to sever that bond. Also, just hope you get all of your mistakes out of the way before you reach too high a rank. You are cubs, your mistakes don't really matter. The elders make mistakes. Great damage is done. Now is a time for mistakes.
When Mist Whisper mentions elder level mistakes, Olaf pays special attention to Lucas and Mabe to see their reactions.
Stoneface.
Look at that tree over there. What a nice tree, essentially.
Is there something interesting about the tree?
Oh, no, she's just
No.
definitely...
This
Oh,
was-
is she asking? She's not actually saying this aloud, by the by.
Yeah.
Okay. No, Raya.
Then
Omid bashfulness, Raya. These two, and he points out Maeve and Lucas, they witnessed a satire rite on an elder involving molten silver.
Impressive. And what caused that?
Perhaps best brought up in private to avoid recurring past.
Indeed. It does not really matter. It has happened anyway.
And actually, since it might be a point of interest, Maeve, rather than responding with recognition to the example, actually kind of twitches an ear in, I mean, not surprise, but just it's kind of clear that that wasn't what she had on her mind, and she's paying attention to that now, but she's been jogged out of a different series of thoughts.
However, Miss Whisper will move on. And child, you've learnt today of Wendigo. Are there any other tribes that you are unsure of?
I feel as though it would probably be best sooner or later to learn all of them over again, because as I said, much of what I have heard has been a given person's personal opinion rather than an overarching study on the tribe and what they've done and who they are.
Yes. I hear that you Homids care very much about tellers of stories far more than the story.
Blink?
Lupus don't have the big thing about interpretation and bias.
Oh, okay.
It can't lie.
For a
That
second
does make
there,
sense.
I thought he was talking about celebrities.
For a second there, I thought he was talking about racism, so let's...
No, we dealt with racism in the earlier part of this conversation, so...
We did. It was a thing that happened.
I will happily go through the tribes with you all. But perhaps another day. I imagine
Not
you all have your... I imagine no Fenrir Den Father could allow such a while before he sends you off running and fighting again.
Of course, Raya.
Good. I'll meet you back at the cabins. I like the rear haunch.
And Olaf nods.
makes mental note.
And with that, unless you guys want to do something.
Sorry, is the Raya walking away, or is the Raya dismissing us?
The Raya is walking away.
Okay, awesome. Since he is walking away, presumably dismiss, Lucas goes ahead and walks in the opposite direction.
By himself?
Well, where are the rest of you going?
At the moment, Olaf is going to remain with his thoughts until the cuffs have dispersed. He has a lot to think about, especially that one little moment where Miss Whisper mentioned getting shot at by people. He has a very specific memory about that he needs to deal with right now.
Can't disperse is on her back.
Oh, shit. Noddle waddle back to Maeve. Look at Olaf. Olaf, could you dismiss us?
Olaf doesn't even look at Lucas. He just waits until Miss Whisper is completely out of sight,
Yeah.
though not necessarily out of earshot. But out of sight is usually good enough. All right, disperse.
Scuffles up.
Nips at haunch of Maeve and sprints away.
Glances back towards Talia, but after a little head bubble, will take off after him.
Albert will stand up, get on his, get on all fours, and kind of go off that way, whichever way. Whichever way he decides to go. Obviously not off sept, but still, he goes somewhere.
If Albert looks like he's going off by himself, she will, Talia will then, and doesn't look to, get anyone else to go with him and is purposely going off for himself, Talia will then follow Maeve and Lucas.
Hunting! Which is sort of like hide and seek, but with teeth!
And I think with that, we will end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, anyone watching. See you again.